We have one rule for Michael Amalfitano's session, is he will not take any anonymous questions on Slido, which is a new rule. We're calling it the Amalfitano rule. And we're looking forward to it. And with that, I'm going to invite Michael up. Michael is a long-standing member of the parish. He was at Bank of America, he was at Stonebriar, and in 2017, he obviously went to Embraer. And during that time, Michael, you can't have imagined what Embraer would be looking like now when you joined.
Well, first of all, it's been a pleasure to be watching this journey for corporate jet investors grow. Look at the room, it's amazing, right? So congrats to you for all you've done here for Miami and all around the world, bringing the industry together. So for you and Luis and the team, so thank you. From my seat, why wouldn't I not have the opportunity to say we could do what we did at Bank of America or Stonebriar here at Embraer, right? So from a point of view, our view is we only have lions. That our job is to conquer the landscape, right? So we're living a pretty nice moment in industry, right? If you think about the decade from 2009 to 2019, it was flat, right? So everybody was just slogging along for quite some time. So we've enjoyed, as an industry, the benefit of growth from 2019, all through the pandemic, all through the post-pandemic, as an industry. And Embraer has positioned itself because of the strategy that we have to take share in the segments we serve. And we just announced our earnings yesterday, so I'm sure all of you can read the facts and figures that were shared there. But I think the point of view that I would give you in terms of perspective is we're achieving some really unique milestones. So obviously the most exciting one happened at the 25th anniversary of the New York Stock Exchange. We were in New York recently, and as of today, there's a new stock symbol to try to represent the company's dynamic growth in all the segments. So you have executive aviation, commercial, defense, and services and support. So instead of being referred to as a regional jet airliner company, as we had been created with Brasilia and Bandeirantes and things that came to the marketplace to the E-jets, we're now a jet company. So it represents EMBJ, which represents jets for all the segments. So that's pretty exciting to see how the company has really positioned itself. From an individual executive jet standpoint, I think the exciting part for us is recognizing that we are actually not only taking unit share, we've delivered through third quarter 102 units, but more importantly, market share, customer share in each of the segments we serve. And that's exciting. And I think other OEMs can say the same thing in different ways for the markets they serve. We only serve 4 markets, right? So when you look at the math, everybody measures the industry in total. And they say, oh, Embraer only has 8 to 10 or 12% of the market. That's false. We only play in 4 things, right? So those 4 segments are all we can compete in. We don't have an airplane in the other segments. We have 31% of the market in the segments we compete, which is a much more telling statistic in terms of taking share from the marketplace. And so that's a little bit of the framework. We just delivered our 2000th airplane, which is meaningful for our services and support network, that customers like Nicholas share and others that are in the room, taking advantage of what we can do for them in the marketplace with service and support, MRO capabilities. So that's a big driver. There's a lot of milestones that have happened. Obviously, we started the year with the FlexJet deal, $7 billion. Nice way to start the year. And so the whole year has just been really filled with some really exciting things.
And this time last year, you're always upbeat. This time last year, you were upbeat, but
I was.
The momentum's continued
It has.
for the last 12 months.
Yes.
What macroeconomic trends are driving it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you're not watching wealth, you're missing the opportunity for growth. Wealth is growing at a level that is unprecedented. So some statistics. So there are 2 reports I'll refer to, so you can go do the homework. First one is Credit Suisse came out with a high net worth report on a global scale here in 2025 and said between today and 2029, personal wealth will grow by over 20%. And then there's another report by a company called Altrata, and they track ultra high net worth growth, which means it's $30 million net worth and up globally. And their world report just came out and says that the wealth creation is going to grow by 31% by 2030. Why is that important? Because they're accessing fractional share and jet clubs and buying airplanes in the new and pre-owned marketplace. That wealth is coming to private aviation in a significant way, which means as you hear from others, they're younger, they're going to stay in the industry longer, and the growth is more sustainable as a result of wealth creation. It's the biggest driver in regards to the sector. And then the other piece of the equation is the airlines are awful. Right? And now we're in the airline business, but they don't deliver a lot of capabilities for the users. So if you have folks that can afford a choice of private travel, and time is your most valuable asset in the world, then why are you not spending it on a private aircraft solution however you access it? And I think that is the trend that we're seeing from a macroeconomic standpoint. And there's data that supports that. So if you looked at the math from 2019 to today, the industry is basically flat. But if you look at the fractional marketplace, as an example, it's up 8%, right, overall. So there's data that says that. When you look at our deliveries of aircraft, you can see that we have a high concentration of fractional by choice. We want to be in that space. We want to be in that fleet marketplace. So we're capturing more of the market flight activity. We're up almost 78% in flight activity. And that's not just in fractional, we also see the same growth, up 11% in corporate flight departments. So that means people are flying more, they're accessing travel more on our products. So the data is very resilient, and the macroeconomic trends in regards to global wealth, in regards to corporate flight departments right-sizing things for their mission profile, is very exciting to see, Al. And I think that we should not be worried about what's going to happen next. We should be working about taking advantage of the data that's showing us we have a sustainable growth curve.
So you've got a record backlog.
We do.
You've increased production, partly because
yes.
you've decided to start building aircraft in the first 2 quarters of the year, which you never did before, and roughly. What are you doing now? What's your strategy with the phenomenon?
So when you think about what Al's referring to is, as you see in the data, is called production leveling, and for every industry in aerospace has always got this hockey stick approach, right? So everything is back end loaded to a quarter in March, June, September, December, and everybody's trying to get everything out the door by the end of the year, right? And so it puts huge pressure. But it doesn't have to be that way. So what we've been taking advantage of is production leveling, cash leveling, and a cadence with our critical suppliers that aligns with the delivery schedules to meet customer commitments. And if you do that, and we have been successful for a long period of time, then you level load. And if you level load, then you deliver more cash flow to the business, which allows us to invest in MRO, invest in production capabilities, build a new airplane, whatever that might be, right? Investment dollars, putting into innovation. So that's been paying off huge dividends, and Francisco talked about it yesterday in the earnings call about how that's paid dividends, not just in executive jets, but across the franchise of production and cash leveling. That gets you stronger, that allows you to then have pricing discipline, cash flow discipline, bring dividends to the shareholders. So it's a really good story, and that story resonates with customers.
Okay, we'll come back to new aircraft. I know you have an announcement to make today.
But you were asking some product stuff, so I'm happy to go into anything.
But you talked about wealth.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned corporate flight department.
Right.
Right-sizing is your term.
Yeah.
Tell us what the mood is.
Yeah, the right-sizing is not about a financial right-sizing, as most would conclude. It's a right-sizing to the mission profile. And because our Praetors are enabling to unlock the potential of segments that larger aircraft can do, of course, but at a larger, higher price point. So we're getting a lot of wins in taking corporate flight departments, major names. So customers that are taking delivery that are already in the market. So Walmart, the biggest retailer in the world, right? Those kind of names. Quick Trip, PepsiCo, Chevron, Michaels Corporation, Jack Henry Transportation, like big names in the United States, all taking airplanes from Praetors. So they don't see that until the airplane is delivered. And those are examples of folks that are already having deliveries. There are many more in the backlog, which is now $7.3 billion, that are going to take delivery. That's all CFDs that are taking share of our product relative to what would have been a choice with a larger aircraft. And they have right-sized their fleet. Now, in some cases, it's incremental. They have a great product with the other brands. And they add the Praetor to do something very specific for their growth. The reason that, and back to your macroeconomic question, their growth, they're getting globalization, they're expanding their reach geographically, they're traveling longer mission profiles, and they need to also broaden their use inside their companies from who's on the airplane. So there's a lot of drivers that the corporate flight departments have in terms of it, and we're a very economical choice because they get large cabin technology, large cabin comfort, large cabin performance at the price point of the super mid-size category.
Do you think to crack the corporate finance departments, you need time? Because I see them as more conservative buyers.
Yeah, I mean, the table that's here that does a lot of the work, they would say, okay, well, closing a deal with Verizon took 5 years. Yeah, so yes, it takes time. But we've been here 56 years. We're going to keep doing the work, right?
Okay, last year you did a great presentation focused on innovation.
Yeah, I love that.
Great slides.
Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback, and thank you for that. I'm so excited about that. There's so much innovation. I was talking to Nicholas NJ earlier about innovations that's happening in this space. So last year, if you remember, there was 7 verticals I talked about, and now I won't go into the weeds on that, but the concept of that is like, everybody wants to know, when is Embraer going to build a new airplane? Well, wait a second now, let's talk about the innovations that unlock the potential for a market that doesn't exist, which is why Eve now exists for vertical takeoff and landing, right? Focus on zero emissions, 100% electrification, hybrid electric, alternative propulsion solutions that take you to some place that the industry's currently not. Could it be supersonic? Then you have sciences that are related to how the airplane's being built. So not only about the things you hear today, which is composites, but material sciences that changes the aerodynamic, maintains the performance characteristics, reduces the weight, improves the safety, reduces the characteristics that put burden on the pilots. Like, how do you make it easier to fly? And then put that in the airspace, which is very congested. So we're focused on engineering excellence, enterprise efficiency, and customer-centric innovations that unlock something for the future. So we're excited about the progress we're making, and we're looking at the things that are mattering most right now. Passenger experience is by far what they talk about. If you ask any OEM, they're going to say, what's the first conversation you have is usually about connectivity before about what the airplane could do, right? So they're really focused on the experience they have on the airplane. How quiet it is, what's the cabin altitude, what's the comfort characteristics of the aircraft, how hard or easy it is to fly. So focusing on these innovations is trying to unlock how to disrupt the next marketplace. And we believe the next marketplace is exciting. It's going to be fast, right? So you got to go faster. You have to be more sustainable. You have to be safer, right? You have to have a value proposition that someone's worth spending the money to invest in your product. So all the innovations that we're trying to unlock is to try to tap in for commercial, defense, and executive, what's the next thing? And how does it provide value that you're willing and your customers are willing to pay for in that segment? And so when and if you see us announce a new aircraft, it's going to be driven by those innovation verticals that we have. So zero emissions, airframe competitiveness, AI and data science and cyber, passenger experience, Industry 4.0, these types of characteristics that are really unlocking the potential of the future. And Eve will be the first because it's already out there. We're developing that, and you're going to see our prototype flights by the end of the year. You're going to see that enter into service by the end of 27 as just one example of focusing on an innovation to unlock the potential for the future.
So are you saying that you're not, when you launch another aircraft?
Yes, that's a good word. When is better than if.
Yeah, when you launch, you want it to be, you're not interested in doing an iteration. The next one will be
There's no derivatives. Yeah, so if you think about it, we have the Phenom family of products, we have the Praetor family of products. If we were to go upstream into the next categories of the marketplace, whether that's long, whether that's ultra long, whether that's large cabin, whatever the categories are, and we'll assess each of those business cases and see if it's worthy. You're going to poke 3 bears in the eye. Well, if you're going to show up, you better be different than what's in the marketplace today and have a value proposition. So we're going to show up with a strong business case, with a value proposition that customers will appreciate, that brings Embraer's confidence in engineering and efficiency, and take market share just like we do with the other markets.
At your Investor Day Dean Roberts, who I think is one of the best analysts in the
He
sector.
did a great job, yeah.
But he was pushing you to launch a larger jet.
Yes, he is.
Do you,
well, because the data is saying there's a lot of opportunity here, right? So he's not wrong. The data tells, and that he's a data guy, right? So he's basically, the data says you should be here. Why are you not here yet? But we have a large company that has a lot of kids at the table, right? So, well, we have to invest in service and support. We have to invest in defense. We have to invest in commercial. So there's a lot going on in Embraer. So we're going to find the best business case with the best innovations to unlock that potential. And if it's us, great. If it's another segment, then we'll take our time and be ready for the next opportunity.
And you're not feeling any pressure at the moment when you have a
yeah, to be fair, and there's many customers in the room, they want us in a big way to do this because you did all this work with the names I mentioned, which took years to convert, and now you have them. Do they really want to go? You want to let them go back to the competition, right? So you're going to have an answer for those customers when and if that opportunity presents itself, so you can keep the customers in the larger segments as they need to. And oftentimes they'll have multiple fleets with different types of aircraft, like several folks that are in the room. And so we're going to be ready for that.
Okay, I'd love to open up to questions in the room. We've actually got a great one from Neil, which you've answered about how you're positioning it. But Mike will only take old school questions.
So who are you? And I'll be happy to answer your question.
But to help with that, we're announcing the Michael Amalfitano American football mic.
I love it.
So all you do is you talk into the black bit. It genuinely works.
Is it already out there, or do I have to throw it?
You have to throw it.
Oh, I love it.
So does anyone have a question? Ideally, right at the back of the room.
This is going to be a good photo. Who's got it? Raise your hand and we'll throw it to you without hurting somebody.
Someone has to raise their hand now.
I'll just catch the ball, but I'm not passing.
Good throw.
Does this work?
It does work.
It does work. How do I do it? Hello? I'm not asking a question.
Oh, you can throw it back then.
Or throw it on to the next person.
Who wants the ball? Where's Kenny Dichter?
Go back there. Somebody raise their hand in the back.
If you don't want the microphone, you're welcome to ask a question without it.
Yeah, we have old school microphones.
I'm not throwing. I'll throw it on my shoulder.
I know, Al, you always have another question.
I have got another one.
We have a few more
Oh,
minutes.
no, we've got David Hernandez over there. Can we...
Hi, David.
If you pass it to us, we'll pass it.
We'll get it. I get it.
David, before you answer, I just want to make it clear, Michael did not know about this. He's not been practicing all week.
Nope.
But that was a great throw.
Yeah, Ann came up to me. She said, he has a surprise. Do you want to know? I go, no, I don't want to. I want to have the surprise.
Yeah, exactly. I was worried about the coffee. There we go.
You press it and it starts.
Yeah, so
It's on.
so the elephant in the room, tariffs. How's Embraer dealing with tariffs, and what's your outlook in the next few months?
I mean, the corporate message is pretty straightforward. Until the industry gets every OEM back to zero, it's not a fair marketplace, right? So whether you're Pilatus in Switzerland or whether you're Embraer in Brazil, those are the two current OEMs that are dealing with it. The economics don't work for the industry, obviously, and nor does it have to be there. And the administration, we've done a great job with the administration on both Brasilia as well as in Washington, D.C. We've met with all the key stakeholders, collaborated with MBAA and Gamma, so that message is very clear that we're not done until we get back to a zero marketplace. If you look at the math, 10%, it's all on, everybody gets confused on how the math works. The math is on the percentage of non-US parts based on the certificate of origin of the individual part by part number. So how much parts do you have on a Phenom? How much parts do you have on a Praetor that is not a US content? And then what that math looks like. So why should I charge the company that's buying the airplane the tariff? Makes no sense. So it's a cost, right? So now we have to figure out how to manage and maneuver around that cost. And we've done real good work with the stakeholders. We have good stories to tell about Embraer's investment, people, dollars, billions of dollars that are in the United States 56 years of a company, and 45 of which have been in the United States since 1979. So the story is very strong, and we're committing more dollars of investment. We just opened our service center in Fort Worth, Texas, to show that. We have over $500 million that Francisco has highlighted that is earmarked for growth. So the story is very powerful. And when the countries of Brazil and America sit down and do a bilateral agreement across all goods, then aerospace will go to zero.
Yeah, I think it feels like it's just inevitable for Switzerland and Brazil. We've got another question.
Hi, Leo.
No.
Hey, good. Is this on? Yes, it is. Hey, good morning, Michael. Good morning, Alistair. Industry. There we go. Someone's awake in the back there. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Question, Michael. What do you see happening in China, the world's second largest economy? We've got all sorts of issues there. Talk about import taxes for spares, luxury taxes, aircraft parking issues. There's a litany of issues. When will China rebound or wake up or return?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm not going to sit here and pontificate based on data that is just noise. I look at it from like, what are my customers looking for in commercial defense, executive services in that sector? So it's a much bigger issue for commercial, and they're partnering with the providers in that area in terms of both airlines as well as investors, strategic partners. Defense is doing the same thing, trying to unlock opportunities in the sector of the whole region of the Asia Pacific. So we're much more customer-centric to your question, Leo. We're not focused on the noise of the region. And that's our approach in terms of it. From an executive standpoint, right, until I go upstream and build a bigger airplane, it's probably not a big issue for my day-to-day. And so is there challenges? Yes. Is there population that needs to be addressed and needs in the region? Yes. But we're going to prioritize where the largest opportunity of growth is, and it's not there.
Any more questions? Final one.
Of course.
What's the pressure like compared to being a banker running an OEM?
I don't know. I mean, I got my friends from Bank of America here and Stonebriar here. I mean, it's just different, right? So you have different regulators, you have different boards, you have different priorities. I mean, at the bank, you're looking across from the OCC talking about interest rates and Fed rates, right? And now you're looking at a multicultural company across all these different regions with different changes. I think we have to recognize how complex the aerospace industry is on the supply side, on the public policy side, right? On the government influence side. Like there's so much integral things that are involved in aviation. So I think there's a lot more at stake in terms of the aerospace marketplace. Not that the money business is an easy business by any measure. There's a lot of factors that impact obviously financing and credit and privacy and managing an asset valuation. But I think aerospace is a very complicated industry, and most folks focus on units because that's what you see flying in the sky, and it's so much more integrated and complex with the supply chain, with the partners, with the suppliers, with the operators, with the customers and the shareholders. That makes it exciting, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I said that was the last question.
You never have a last
question. I never have a last. Is the supply chain improving?
Yeah, you heard Francisco yesterday on the call. If you haven't read the material yet, for 2025, you have to sort of have everything you need right at this point. Those dates have passed. Lots of things came late, so while he was being very confident about we have everything we need to do 2025, which is factually true, it puts a lot of stress on the last few weeks of the year in any company to try to finish the deal. But think about it, we did 102 aircraft through September, and our guidance for the year is 145 to 155, and we've done 50 airplanes in a quarter every year in the December timeframe, in the October to December timeframe. So I'm not unsure of our ability to deliver. But when you ask the supply chain question, I mentioned this at JetNet earlier this year, we always talk about this thing of being a chain. It's not the right description of what this is. The concept of global supply management is capacity and integrity. And it's for every single thing that's critical to build an airplane, and there's millions of parts on an airplane. And we talk about it like there's like some link you're missing, but it's not that simple. It's not linear like that. So it takes a specific number of cycle days and hours to build an airplane. So you need the specific part at the specific time at the specific station to be able to build the aircraft with the most effective use of quality and safety. That's what's missing in terms of the supply cadence, is the pacers of critical suppliers that are holding up any OEM's ability or any service center's ability to execute things on the time basis. So we have to stop measuring the chain and start measuring the cadence of how things are being produced, when they're being produced, and what quality they're being produced, because that will increase the integrity of the entire aerospace industry.
Final question.
It says overtime.
I know, but
it's an overtime question.
What's the best part of the job, and what's the worst part?
Best part of the job are my people. Has always been. It was the same answer I would have given you at Bank of America. I have phenomenal people that I have high confidence in. By far, it's what energizes me. It's where I spend a lot of my time in terms of leadership development and people development, sharing the knowledges of what we've developed over the 45 years here. The worst part of the job is they don't want me to leave. And at some point, I'm going to want to leave. So that's the hard thing, is staying in it. It's like Scarface, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, right? So we'll see how the ride goes.
Do you want to launch a new aircraft before you leave?
Absolutely.
And on that, thank you very much.